Do you fly Delta, have a vacation planned, or how about getting a free ticket for a spouse, family member, or friend to anywhere within the United States, Central America, or the Caribbean? Well, if that is you, you've come to the right video because the Delta Platinum card from American Express is one of the best airline cards for travelers, and it may just be the card for you. Stay tuned. I want to start by saying this video is a bit longer than my typical, so I will leave chapter marks below. If there is a specific piece of information that you are looking for, you can find it there. With that being said, let's crack on. Now, flights are expensive. From the cost of a ticket to the cost of a checked bag, that's not to even mention the cost for multiple tickets. Everything adds up. So it is important to find some way to make a dent in that cost and save a few dollars while we're at it. With that, that is where credit cards can be a big help. But before you hop all aboard the Delta Platinum train, I want to put it out there that this card does come with a $350 annual fee, which can be pretty steep. But don't click off yet. If you do not know already, I'm going to tell you why it might be one of the best expenses you will make and how I personally get value out of the card. And I will try to, at the end of this, give a couple of examples of how you might want to use the SkyMiles with this card. Now I'll make some qualifications about who I think this card is actually for, because honestly, I do not want to waste any more of your time. I think this card is for people who fly or prefer to fly Delta, potentially live in a Delta hub or in a central location close to a Delta hub, and they can take advantage of most, if not all, of the credits that I'm going to talk about in a second. Another potential reason that you might want this card is because you want Delta status. So if those things are things that you want, let us continue. Now, from the jump, my own experience, the worst way to get value out of this card, or any airline card for that respect, is through the multipliers. Now, with the Delta Platinum, you are getting 3x on Delta purchases, 3x at hotels when you book directly with the hotel, 2x on dining, and 2x on groceries, plus 1x everything everywhere else. Yeah, I know this is a credit card, and conventional wisdom says to use the credit card, but sometimes the best thing to do is to not use it, as there are better cards out there that earn more points and can be transferred to Delta. I'm specifically talking about membership rewards earning cards like the American Express Gold card and the American Express Green card, which both earn points more effectively than any Delta card you can get. That includes the Delta Platinum. But moving on. Recently, this card has gone through a refresh that made it a bit beefier. To start with, the card now has a $150 credit for Delta stays. Now, Delta stays is literally an Expedia portal that allows you to book hotel stays. Pretty self-explanatory. The credit allows you to book prepaid hotel stays or vacation rentals through the Delta Stays portal, which you can find on Delta's website. After booking with your card, you will be able to get the $150 statement credit to your account. This credit honestly is pretty useful, but booking through Delta Stays might not always be the best solution. I did a bit of research myself and found that booking through Delta Stays versus booking through Expedia, you'll probably have a 15% increase on certain locations. So do your own due diligence on that, as this is something to be aware of. So I think you might want to devalue the credit a bit. Still, it's $150 off the annual fee at the end of the day, which is pretty good. The next credit that I want to talk about is the $10 a month Resy Credit. This credit isn't as flexible as Amex Gold counterpart, which nets you $50 semi-annually. But for people who only want to use one card or actually have a Resy restaurant that they frequent, this card can be a great way to get some of that prepaid annual fee back. Now, the way it works is you have to enroll for the credit, and whenever you visit a restaurant that is affiliated with Resy, use this card, and that will trigger the credit. It's that simple. Now, I personally get full value out of this credit, and honestly, I love it. Also, unlike my Amex Gold counterpart, I have found that when I use the credit close to the end of the month, it will still trigger for that month instead of the post date, which when I try to use for Amex Gold dining has not always been the case. Just make sure though that the restaurant that you are planning to go to is still affiliated with Resy when you pay, because sometimes they do switch on and off the platform. Now, The next credit up you will get is a $10 a month Rideshare Credit. If you hold the Amex Gold, this is not to be confused with the Uber credit, where the money is basically added to your Uber account. The money from this credit never leaves the card. Instead, you will get a statement credit back on your account up to $10. This can be used for any rideshare service that they have listed. The ones that I can think of off the top of my head would be Uber and Lyft. But after looking, there are other ones like Revel and Alto, which honestly I have not heard of before, and I really don't feel like looking up, but they are there. Either way, you will get $10 a month, so that will equal $120 for the year. The same thing goes for the Resy Credit. I found this is actually pretty good, especially living in New York, where I can go to a Costco, basically $10 a month for a rideshare, or when I'm going to the airport, add to my rideshare app, use it, get the $10 back. It's really good. Again, if you don't use it that much, you can devalue the credit, but it is still there for you to use. The next perk, because this card has a lot of perks, is the Delta Elite status. You get 2,500 medallion qualifying dollars, or MQDs. Now, I want to take a second to explain this perk and what MQDs are, because it can honestly get a bit confusing. So please bear with me, and remember there are timestamps if you want to skip this part. Basically, what an MQD represents is points towards Delta status. There was a different system before, but that is outside the scope of this video. All you need to know is that to get status with Delta, you need to earn medallion qualifying dollars, or MQDs. Well, you might be asking me, how do I earn these MQDs? I am very glad you asked that question. There are actually a couple of ways of doing it. The most straightforward way is to book a flight with Delta. By booking a flight, you will get 1 MQD per dollar spent on that flight. So if your flight costs somewhere like, let's say $500, at the end of the day, you'll get 500 MQDs. Make sense? Good. Because honestly, it is about to get a lot more complicated than that. You can also get MQDs by spending on the Delta Platinum or the Delta Reserve credit cards. You will get 1 MQD for every $20 you spend on the Delta Platinum card, and 1 MQD for every $10 you spend on the Reserve card. And finally, as I stated before, you get 2,500 MQDs by holding this card or the Reserve. It's honestly kind of funny when I think about it now. The Reserve is $650, but it doesn't come with any more MQDs, which can be pretty consequential if you mainly are looking to get status and want to decide between the Delta Platinum and the Delta Reserve card. Now, to be fair, the Reserve does help you get to status faster by spending on the card, but it also costs you about $300 more. But, that is here or there. If there's a card you want, it's over there. Now, I won't talk in depth about what status is, but overall, each status gives you different perks, with the first status being Silver status at 5,000 MQDs. So by holding the Delta Platinum or the Delta Reserve card, you are effectively halfway to status, and you can spend $2,500 on flights and pretty much get there. But there might be an easier way. Now, hear me out. Hear me out here. If you really want status, you can double up on Delta Platinum cards by getting this card, the Delta Platinum, and the Delta Business Platinum. This will give you instant silver status, well, at least for now. And personally, this is something I will be trying in the future. Though, as a side note, Delta originally wanted this to be 6,000 MQDs, so this method might not work in the future. Still, the points will get you closer to status, and if that is something that you want. Now, I've been talking about a lot of perks, and there's more perks on top of it, like the free check bags, the TSA pre-check / global entry, which helps you get through the airport security faster, at least in the States. And there are some others that aren't really important for me to discuss at the moment. You can find many other great videos about those perks, as they are on many other cards. But I now want to move on to what I think at least makes this card really special, and that is the companion pass. Now, before I start, a lot of people talk about, oh, I don't have a companion, I don't have a player 2. Look, bro, you can use the companion pass for your friends, for your mom, for your dad. Just know you can have a companion pass for anybody. So I don't want anybody to skip over this if they don't think they have a person who could be a companion. It can be a great gift for somebody in your life. But with that said, the companion pass on this card has been tweaked from its original, from its old way. And basically, the original companion pass was pretty limited. It only allowed you access to the continual 48 United States, which basically means it included everything except for Alaska and Hawaii, and also the exclusion of Puerto Rico. You can get to and from these regions if you are originating from them, but that's not what most people are doing. Now, while I also do think there are great places in the States, this card is still lacking, at least for that companion pass. What the card does now is that it gives you access to those locations, which by itself would be great, but it also gives you access to the Caribbean and Central America. Now, the downsides of this perk is that you actually can't use points or SkyMiles to book a flight. It has to be with cash. Also, you can't use a gift card, which I honestly had to learn the hard way trying to book a flight with my Player 2. I was trying to basically game the system by having the airline fee credit with the Amex Plaid. It's a sad short story. I won't say it here. Anyways, those are two ways that I know you cannot book with the credit. Basically, it has to be cash, you can't use points, and you cannot use a gift card for that booking. And to basically say how it works, what happens is you pay for your portion of the flight, and for the second ticket, all you have to cover is the taxes and fees because Uncle Sam still needs his money. Another downside is that you actually can't use this within the first year, which in my opinion with all of the other new perks is an easier pill to swallow. But what would you do if you really want this perk but you didn't want to spend the $350 within the first year? Well, one way of doing this and testing out a Delta card is to apply for the Delta Gold card in the first year. The annual fee of this card is usually waived, and you get the points for the Delta Gold intro. After the first year, you can now go and upgrade to the Platinum, and you'll get the companion pass at the same time. I actually caution this as you would be foregoing the walk-in bonus that you would get for the Delta Platinum. But honestly, at the same time, this is good because the family language, Amex basically wants you to get the Delta Gold to begin with. And yeah, it's basically saying you have to get the gold either way. And I think foregoing the Platts bonus, honestly, is okay. This is actually what I did, and I'm really not even disappointed about it at all. I still get a lot of good value out of the Delta Platinum card. So definitely it is worth it for the right person. Now, finally, I want to talk about this card and Delta SkyMiles, which is probably the main reason that you want to get the card, or at least maybe the reason you thought to get the card and are watching this video. At the time of recording, the Delta Platinum card is giving out 60,000 points after you spend $4,000 within the first 6 months, which is a little under $700 a month on this card. Now, this is actually kind of low, as I've seen Delta Plat actually go up to 90K bonus, and those offers are actually floating out there. So look around, don't take the 60K. In my opinion, don't take the 60K unless you really want it, as there are 90K offers floating around there, either on the main page or through a referral link. The values of the points can range, and many websites have valuations for them, and you can honestly check those out or other YouTube channels to figure these values out, as I really don't want to get into that anymore. At the end of the day, it's your points and you can use them as you see fit. I will give you a couple of quick examples though, so you can basically think about how you might want to use it. First, look at some domestic, because I think this is how the vast majority of people will be using these points. And to be honest, I did look at something from New York to Los Angeles, but I thought they were pretty inflated. So I wanted to look at something a little bit closer that might still be useful for 60,000 points. And that would be a flight from New York City to San Juan, Puerto Rico, which is technically domestic, as you don't need a passport to go there, and it's a pretty nice location. Anyways, for a flight leaving on Friday, February 21st, 2025, and returning on that Sunday, it will cost 33,500 points round trip per person after applying the 15% off perk, which I didn't talk about. It's basically called Take Off 15, where you take off 15% from an award flight, but that is how it is planned here. So basically, you'll be able to get a round trip to San Juan. This is, basically more than enough for one person and allow you to get almost enough for to people. And when you factor in the extra points that you'll make from the spend you'll be putting on to begin with, it might even make it all the way there. Now, the retail price for this flight when I was looking for it was $745. And this is not including taxes or the fact that it is a main cabin fare that is not refundable at this price. While with the points, you are actually able to refund it. You usually have to pay an extra $100 to get this ability. This is honestly a key feature that points that is rarely talked about, that the fact that you can basically use points for a flight, cancel the flight, and get the points back. But it might be something that changes in the future. Remember to do your own research, but just in case, that is there now. But yeah, just considering the base price, you would be looking at 33,500 points divided by $750. This is getting you a value of 2.22 cents per point spent. Now let's look at something international, like Paris, for example. Now this is a bit harder with 60,000 SkyMiles, but we'll look anyways for the exercise. This one you might have to be a bit more strategic, like leaving on a Tuesday, if that permits. I know it doesn't permit for a lot of people, but for ones like this, I'm assuming you're going to be going away for a week or something like that. You can find a flight for 46,000 SkyMiles round trip per person. This is compared to the $607 per person that you would pay for the out of pocket for the actual flight. When you take all of this into account, you're getting 1.31 cents per point. This is lower than the cents per point in value that you're getting for the Puerto Rico flight. But honestly, to me, this does not matter. At the end of the day, I will be in Puerto Rico for a few out-of-pocket dollars and maybe some taxes and fees. But I did want to give you an idea of the value of the points and how they can fluctuate depending on how you plan on spending the points. So if you have made it this far into the video and still are looking for the car, I will leave a referral link in the description below. If you do not see something for the 90K offer or any other elevated offer for that, I will honestly wait. Don't use the link. Use another link, or maybe ask a family member or a friend to see what they have. Either way, I thank you for watching. And of course, guys, until next time, peace.